Ladies and gentlemen, the time has arrived. Week 1 for us, week 10 for the NFL. We are Third in Atlantic. I'm Joel, and that's Ed, some guy, as he prefers to be known as. And this is the show where we go head to head in NFL picks to prove who's best. So, Ed, what happened last week?
So for those who don't know, we had a little preseason, me and Joel, for a couple of weeks, just trying out some things and testing out the format. And for all 3 weeks, someone has been absolutely battered, and that someone is definitely not me.
So, Ed, tell them how it works.
Yeah, so it's a head-to-head pick'em draft. So me and Joel will take it in turns to pick who we think will win a matchup, and the other person will take the other team. Whoever wins gets a point. So this week there are 14 games, so we'll make 7 picks each. So last week, just as I mentioned, we had a couple of weeks of preseason. Last week, my picks went 6-1, obviously, and Joel's picks went 4-3. So that's standard for him.
The problem here is, though, my team seems to let me down sometimes. Even though I come on a positive, my team seems to let me down. Still 4-3, and Ed seemed to hold out for him. I don't know why that happens, but every week it happens. You know, we've tried different formulas, tried different ways of picking, and it just hasn't gone my way so far. But, big time players make big time players. Now we're starting for real. I'm back.
So I think what happened with you is that there are a couple of teams that let you down early, and then your game plan just seems to change so much, and you lose trust. And I think that's the fun thing about this format is, one week you may have an emotional connection to one team, but then the other week you have to completely flip it. So we've got a feel of each other's tactics for a little bit.
Yeah.
My tactic is winning. Joel's tactic is picking bad.
But more onto that, what you were saying before. Yes, If you let me down once, I'm not going back again. I don't have to get hurt. I'm not going to repeatedly get hurt. I'm going to jump ship. Then we start moving. You have to build my trust back up again.
Yeah, it becomes very emotional. It becomes an emotional roller coaster.
Especially after that first preseason week. After what happened there's no way half of them I could pick them again the next week with my chest. That just couldn't happen.
And they're the obvious culprits. The Chargers and the Falcons, they're the obvious culprits of teams we try to stay away from or pick against. But Bill picked the Falcons last week, which worked out for him. It was the final pick of our preseason draft that we did. But yeah, on to a new week.
There we go. So enough about the things they didn't see. Let's talk about the NFL in general, what happened. I'm just going to go straight out there and say the Bucks. I picked you. No, did you? Anyway, I had you.
You picked them.
I picked them. I had them. Every time I didn't have them, they decided to be the best team in the world. When times like this, I have you. You let me down. What happened here?
I do think they have, and I believe in the theory that you can have too many chefs in a kitchen and too many. It's just like in basketball. If you've got too many ball dominant players, it becomes difficult to sort of distribute the ball unless they sacrifice. I think with the Chargers, with the Bucks, they have so many receiving options. It's difficult. I'd say it's difficult. It's nice to know who your number one receiver is, who your second and third is. When you've got so many receivers, you've got your Evans, your Godwins, your Browns, your Scotty Millers, your Gronks. Gronk isn't what he was before. I think
they were saying in that mix.
Pardon?
He is not in that mix right now.
I think they were saying that the player who had the most receptions for the Bucks yesterday was a running back, which, considering the other weapons you have, is quite daunting. So that's just my feeling of it.
Yeah, but that goes with Brady's kind of previous game when they had the Patriots. The running backs were very heavily involved in the game plan. However, what I would agree normally, but as we've seen in previous weeks, that's worked for them. That has been clicking this season. They've been overwhelming teams with defense, and then the offense has been doing enough to get by. Whether they were amazing or not, week to week that fluctuated. However, they were good enough when the time came. This week, they didn't get a touchdown.
That is, it's weird because I'm a Jags fan, and there are games when I watch the Jags where they may put up, like the defense may concede like 30 or 40 points, but I felt the defense played really well, and it's the offense who let them down. In this situation, the offense only really scored 3 points, but I do feel that it was their defense that let them down this time because their defense was getting cooked. by Drew Brees and the Saints at times. So, yeah, although it looks like it wasn't the offense doing much, and we mentioned a bit about the offense, I think the overall thing was the defense not holding their side of the bargain. But yeah, I guess the more games you watch in the NFL season, teams are going to have dips and bumps.
But why do they always have dips and bumps when I pick them?
I think it's just the motivation of being my pick. They're like, you know what, we're going to ride out for this guy. We're going to ride out for this guy. We know he picks because he watches the games and he's got an eye for a game. He knows what to look out for.
Yeah, so I'm not watching the games. No.
No. You ain't got the eye like that. You ain't got the eyes like that.
Okay. But let's talk about another game that you may or may not have the eye for. It's Tua time. He showed out big after a lackluster week 1. He still got the win, but in week 2 he came and killed it against a guy in a number 1 pick that has been doing well on an upswing.
This game last week, you picked this game in our preseason week. You went for the Cardinals, which I mentioned to you, I would have gone for as well. But the reason I didn't pick that game is because I didn't mind if I did get the Dolphins, because as I said to you, I really liked the Dolphins defense against the Steelers when previously when they played.
Yep.
And the way that they were able to run blitz packages and what they were able to create havoc on defense, I really liked from the Dolphins' perspective. So you picked the Cardinals, which again I was disappointed about, but I wasn't disappointed about because I still had the Dolphins, and it was really nice to see Tua moving around the pocket, doing bootleg action. There's going to be one bootleg. There's going to be one bootleg where he's going to roll to the left, and there's going to be a D lineman right there ready to meet him. So it's going to get clamped. But for Tua's sake, it doesn't happen. It doesn't lead to anything serious.
Yeah.
But it was really fun to obviously this isn't full Tua yet, and it's nice to see him have a bit of success. But it was a really fun game watching both Tua and Kyler go at it.
And I had that game. I had it up until it was the last play one again. It was the last play one again. All my picks or my teams that were were middle of the pack. They could win, they couldn't win, but I had enough faith in them. They seemed to lose their games in the last minute.
Yeah. Again, it's been some really tight games. There have definitely been some blows as well, but some really fun, tight games. I think a couple of weeks ago, there were 3 or 4 of the early kickoff games went to the wire, just watching them, and it was like amazing football to watch. But yeah, we've got a bit of week 9 off our chest. So do you want to get into some picks for week 10?
So now we go into the head-to-head. Just to reiterate, if I pick a team and has their opponent, winner gets a point. It's that simple. Draft style formula, as you said, so someone has to go first. And how are you picking that, Ed?
So, I mean, the way we did it in preseason, the way we'll do it moving forward is whoever wins last week will get the first pick. Or actually, we could switch it around. Like we could do a draft system. Like if you lose last week, then you get the first round pick for the next round. Or
do they deserve it though? Do they deserve it? That's the real question.
I mean, because to be honest with you, Joe, it's just not fun beating you every week. I need a bit of challenge. So like, I'm not sure if it'll help you get a couple more wins.
I hear that. However, that first week I picked first. And why did I pick first? Because heads or tails. So I picked first and I lost instantly. That was my biggest loss. That was my biggest loss. So
we'll do a heads or tails. I've got a little 1p that I just got lying around somewhere. So I got.
I'm calling it. I'll call
heads.
Whatever. Yeah. I'll call heads because Queen Lizzie. Oh, it's tails, isn't it? Already lost. There we go.
Lizzie let you down.
Always.
Always. Before we get into the picks, we'll quickly go over the schedule and teams in a bye. So for week 10, there's 4 teams in a bye. We've got the Jets, Chiefs, Cowboys, and Falcons. And then for Thursday night football, we've got the Colts at the Titans. Nice little AFC South division game. Jags at the Packers, Eagles at the Giants, Washington at the Lions, Texans at the Browns, Bucks at the Panthers. Then in the late game on Sunday, we have got Chargers at the Dolphins, Broncos at the Raiders, Bills at the Cards, 49ers at the Saints, Seahawks at the Rams, Bengals at the Steelers, and then Sunday night football, we've got Ravens at the Pats, which could be a fun game. And then finally, Monday night football, we've got Vikings at the Bears. Now, the way I like to make my picks, I like to have different tiers. So I think Joel, he's picked this up a couple weeks. He's trying different things. I'm not sure if he's doing the same thing, but I like to have tiers of teams I feel very confident with, teams I feel semi-confident with, but I have a couple questions, and then teams that, or get matchups that I'm like, I'm not sure. I could be happy either way. Saying all that, my first pick as a Jags fan is I'm taking the Packers over the Jags. If the Packers
I
somehow
really
lose to
wanted
the
that.
Jags, then wow.
I really wanted that first pick.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Luton, his first drive led to a 75-yard touchdown for DJ Chark. Rest of the game didn't do too much. At the end, he made a couple nice plays. He made a really good play using his legs. It was a 15-20-yard rushing touchdown. Gave a little spin move near the goal line. And yeah, I mean, Packers should be winning this. Although we have spoken about this before, about teams playing to their opposition, with the Chiefs not necessarily performing their best against the Jets, though still getting the win. Saying all that, I'm still taking Aaron Rodgers and that offense against the Jags defense, who, you know what, did all right. Since Miles Jack has moved from middle to an outside linebacker, he's doing really well. But yeah, anyway, that's enough of my Jags talk.
I just have one question.
Oh no, go on.
As someone with no faith in this matchup at all, is there any chance that the Jags pull the upset?
Oh, definitely. I mean, they did beat the. Again, I'm never surprised when a shit team beats a good team. Like it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, typical responses, whatever. We were in the game against the Texans, albeit the Texans aren't that good. We were a 2-point conversion away. We missed a 2-point conversion on a late touchdown from Luton. Was it a rushing touchdown? But whatever, on a late score. We missed a 2-point conversion, which actually happened to us last year when Leonard Fournette missed a 2-point conversion last year. But yeah, anywho. So yeah, it can happen. Aaron Rodgers could throw up a dud potentially, but I don't see it likely happening. I think you're just doing it just so you think you can salvage a point if you've got any faith going into the matchup.
No,
DJ Chark had a big game last week. He got about over 150 receiving yards. Our defense, is looking okay, conceding some points, but is looking better than was at the start. But yeah.
My biggest hope in this matchup is that the Green Bay DBs have looked suspect for a couple of years now. Every now and then they put together like a solid run of games, which they look amazing, but overall they've been shaky. And I don't see you bombing it over the top of them. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's with Jake Luton. It's his second start ever as a QB. It's not like he's got like a cannon of an arm anyway. So, I mean, you would have to rely on DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault to be making some big plays.
Are the Jags really, truly, and seriously making a play for Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, what other play do they have? I was a bit hopeful at the start of the year, but it does seem like they are. And I think last week was best case scenario in terms of they lost, but it was a respectable loss. There was a touchdown by Will Fuller when the play clock had reached 0 for about 2 or 3 seconds already. The refs missed it, and then Watson threw a 70-yard touchdown, or no, it wasn't 70-yard, like a 50-yard touchdown to Will Fuller where CJ Henderson got beat. But you know what? Refs completely messed that up. That's fine. And then we missed a 2-point conversion at the end. Again, that's fine. So we were in the game, competitive with a rookie QB, 6th round pick. He was picked later than Minshew was when we picked him, and we were still in the game. But we got a loss. It means we got a high draft pick. Well, it looks like we're going to end up taking Justin Fields because I've mentioned this to you before. The Jags never really put Minshew in a position to succeed. But yeah, we're just hoping the Jets can pick up a win to maybe get Trevor Lawrence. But I'm not opposed to getting Justin Fields either.
That has been a very deep developing question. I know we joked at the beginning of the season, and you were very high on your Minshew bravado. However, if Fields or Lawrence came into the building, you would be expecting the switch, correct?
So yeah, that's fair. At the start of the season, I did feel that a lot of people were down on Minshew, which I felt was a little bit unfair. Partly because he did go 6-6 last year, and in the remaining games, we went 0-4. And for those remaining games, there were the certain Nick Foles, who's in Chicago, which probably someone will talk about a bit later, and my feelings on Nick Foles. And as I said to you, I never felt Minshew was ever in a position to succeed. So, I mean, if the Jags did do well, then it would have been tougher. Let's say they went 8-8, which was very unrealistic. Then it's sort of question, well, we had a really rubbish team, but then you still keep Minshew. At least now, if you're really bad or you're really good, you know where you're going. The fact that you're really bad means that you have an excuse to get rid of Minshew and draft a new QB. I seem quite content to have Justin Fields. Like a lot of people seem to now be, could Justin Fields potentially be playing well to be ahead of Trevor? I don't watch enough college football to say I'll watch a couple big games on a Saturday night if there's some big matchups, but I don't know. I don't
I
know.
have I have a very, very deep opinion on this because in his and Lawrence's senior years of high school, me and my friends paid very close attention because
Mm-hmm.
towards that summer we got very bored. So when they did
Yeah.
the Elite 11 camps,
Yeah.
Fields overtook Lawrence as the number one QB. But everyone was still high on Lawrence when they went into college. Everyone was still high on Lawrence. Lawrence got to start straight away at Clemson, whereas Fields was stuck behind Jake Fromm, who hasn't even started a game.
No, he was
He,
behind Haskins.
no, it was from at Georgia, and then he went for the year, and then that's when he left, and then the other year he was going to be behind someone else, and then he transferred out to
Okay.
Ohio. So I really watched it, and I was like, why isn't Fields getting the chance necessarily that Lawrence got, or why are people down on him when he overtook him in high school as the number one QB?
That's
He was the number one
interesting.
dual threat, and then overtook as the number one QB. So then, why the questions happen? Why? But hey, they'll find out. We'll find out eventually after their pro careers. Lawrence has looked good at Clemson, and we've been on this matchup for a very long time. So my pick,
Yeah, I was
let's
quickly
go
quickly
straight
say
in
something.
there.
Quickly say something also on
Yep, go
the
for it.
college football bits as well. There's also the other narrative that Clemson's division is nowhere near as good as the Big Ten, and
Yep.
Justin Fields has been playing tougher competition throughout his regular season game. However, Trevor Lawrence does have that postseason college playoff pedigree.
And he has a championship. He
Yeah,
has a championship. You can't get
so
anything like that.
anything that you say, oh yeah, you know what, Justin Fields could potentially work that. Oh, Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence has also done that. He's also yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that when it comes closer to the draft.
Lawrence did knock Fields out of the playoffs last year before losing to LSU. He was playing terrible in that game. He was getting outplayed, and then he got a hit. He got hit. The guy got ejected, and then he went nuts. So my pick, my first pick officially to get me the win. I'm going to go with the Saints at the 49ers. Now I hear what you're saying. It
No,
is
that
a high pick when you go by name value.
that was on my
When
tier.
you
That
go
was on
by
my tiers. They were my top tier. Yeah.
when you go by name value, I understand the Saints and the 49ers is a tough matchup to pick. However, if you've been paying attention this season, the 49ers have been going down every week. They've been getting injury after injury after injury. People come back, they get re-injured. Their best player, Kittle, is out. Garoppolo, I'm not sure if he's back. I'm not sure if he's going to be back this season.
Doesn't matter.
It don't matter because he hasn't played great this year. And the Saints are coming off beating, like, absolutely destroying Tom Brady and the Bucks, who were seen as one of the toughest, one of the most Super Bowl bound teams yet. So the Saints.
That's fair. Yeah, that would have been potentially my second or third pick. The one thing I would say, again, agree with everything you said there. I have a thing about not being too high and not being too low. If you just had a loss, like, don't beat yourself down. Like, say, try to about it. If you had a win, all right, cool. They can always be improved and move on to next week. I don't know if I'm just being a bit like armchair gaffer and be like, oh, blah 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 blah, or like Roy Keane-esque. Oh, not Roy Keane. Fucking what's his name? Graham Souness-esque. Be like,
Yeah.
did you see the post game celebrations from the Saints in the locker room?
Oh, they won the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl.
Now, I like it. I do like it. It's like, looks fun. It's like, oh, that'll be sick. But like, all right, cool. You still got another team next week. Like, maybe it's like, yeah, enjoy the night. And then, yeah, we move on business as usual next week. But maybe I'm just overthinking and overlooking into it a little bit. Because there was a lot of good reaction to it. A lot of ex-players really like that and whatnot. But 49ers, they could pull up an upset. They are injured, but still really well coached. Yeah, we'll see how the Saints do.
We shall see.
So with those two picks, my second pick, so third pick of the week, my second pick is I am taking the Steelers over the Bengals. For those who don't know, Joel is a Steelers fan, and I'm taking his boys against the Bengals. Now, I don't feel very, very, very confident with this, but I felt it was the best value pick so far. I mean, Steelers undefeated, Bengals got a couple wins under their belt. One or two wins. They got 2 wins, right? And
The Bengals have two. Yep,
Joe
2-5-1.
Burrow's, again, Joe Burrow's still playing well. But Steelers, they understand it's a divisional game. I really hope they take it seriously and win this, because they haven't looked convincing past couple of weeks, and you can definitely attest to that. They have not been convincing. I'm taking the Steelers.
Never in my life do I want to see the Bengals beat the Steelers. Never, even as they're my pick. However, if I was to look with objective eyes, if there was a week for the Bengals to take it this season, this would be the week.
No.
Ben has just gone into COVID
Yep.
injury onto the injury reserve list.
Yep.
The second linebacker, Vance Williams, list. Vance McDonald, he's already on the list, the COVID list. So for those who are counting, that's both the starting linebackers for the middle linebackers for the Steelers out. Obviously, the starting QB out. A left tackle has just gone out as well. Our starting tight end, he's out. Well, our second tight end now that we've got Ebron. However, with all that being said, guess who we've got up as quarterback? Mason Rudolph, who has been terrible. He's had good games, but overall, he has been terrible. And then this is when the Bengals need to take advantage. If they ever want to be in a playoff picture or respected, these are the weeks that they should be winning.
That's fair. So this is going to be Rudolph's first game of this year, right?
Yep. He played part of last game when Ben was out with the injury. He injured both his knees as well, by the way. Just putting that out there. So they put him on a COVID list, but he's got injured knees. I'm not saying anything is happening, but something don't quite add up to me. But with that being said, yeah, he played last week. Ben saw him in the tunnel, was like, no, I'm coming back out. And yeah.
Just saying, it seems like you lot may need a QB for the future. There may be a little guy with a mustache from Mississippi down in Duval County that may be available for a draft pick. So I'm no.
You can keep him. You can keep him. All I'm going to say is last few times we've picked up a QB for the future haven't worked. We traded one to you and then got him back on a free.
Yes, that's
and he hasn't dressed since then. So he's been inactive.
I do like him. We've
got one. Yeah. We've had one who got his helmet ripped off and he got smacked over the head with it. We had one who actually looked good for a bit, then looked terrible, and is now on our practice squad.
Doc Hodges.
So I don't know what we're doing in the terms of a backup QB. I understand Ben is our QB, and we believe he'll season after season he'll come back and play and do well. When you're playing when you just use a second round draft pick on a QB, I need him to be, especially when you could have had Lamar Jackson. We got TJ Watt. I'm not angry.
Yeah, we spoke about. Yeah, we spoke about. Yeah.
Yep. We had Mike Vick at one point. We didn't use him well. So if all I'm saying is, if you're going to use a second round draft pick on a QB, he has to be good as a backup, at least.
Quick question: would you have wanted Jalen Hurts last year?
I didn't. I wasn't too high. I like Jalen Hurts, but I wasn't too high on him for my team. When they said he'll drop to like the fourth, fifth round, and that's when they were predicting the Steelers to pick him up, I would have taken that all day. I'm not coming up to the second.
Yeah.
I'm not coming to the third. And to be very clear, he's coming in as the backup. He's not coming in to replace Ben, really and truly. He's coming in as if Ben is injured. We'll see what he does and then move on. He needs a good system, I think, for this level.
There's some fun, so after your top tier QBs you got this year in the draft, maybe your top 3 or 4. There's a lot of other QBs that are on big programs that have been at Florida QB, Cal Truss.
Truss.
And then you've got maybe the Bama QB. I've seen some draft boards putting in first round. So there seems to be quite a few.
Here's the thing though. With Bama QBs, you've got to be careful because these no-name guys, obviously Alabama is a great system.
Yeah.
However, it is a great system.
Yeah.
So when they come out, most of them have not looked great. The same with Bama running backs. Most of them have not looked great. Derrick
Whoa.
Henry,
Yeah.
at one point, Derrick Henry had that label on him. Oh,
Yeah.
he's a Bama running back. He's not looking great, and then he turned it around like last season and a half ago. So that's where we
The
go.
only other guy that pops into my head is Ingram as well as Bama running
Yep.
backs. But I was also going to mention Bama receivers. That two were taking a first round last year. Another two or three maybe
Yep.
taken in the first round this year. So there's also that aspect of it. But yeah, there may be some nice little. This year feels like it would be very interesting for the mid-tier QBs in the draft this year. But hey, that's in the future to worry about. Now it is your
My pick.
second pick. Yes, sir.
And I'm just going to be short and sweet with this. I'm picking the Raiders over the Broncos because I don't know if I can hold out any longer. I'm not too tough on any of these other matchups, but I know I know, Carr can let me down in this. The Raiders have let me down on this easy pick this year, but this one, surely this one goes through.
So I think both of us actually pretty high on the Raiders. I think we both really like the Raiders. I do.
They're not winning any Super Bowls, but they should be good.
I don't know. I like them for a little surprise now. And of course, they did beat the Chiefs. This one was a bit lower down because I just still wasn't sure. There are still some question marks, but I'm not too mad at that pick. So you've got the Raiders there against the and I saw a bit of Drew Luck. I was like, yeah, cool. Like he had a shit first half, and then second half he did a bit better. But I don't really rate the guy too much. But obviously, it's his first year as a star, so I'm not going to read. Again, I always like to give someone at least a year because you never know what to expect in your first year and second year, which is also why the whole Mason Rudolph thing is his second year really starting a game. I don't know how old are you again? Maybe he might have, in the off season, he may have made some massive adjustments and really worked on his craft, but I guess we'll see this Sunday. So you've got the Raiders. So where are the Raiders here? J.A. second pick. Now, next team is someone who is a team which I don't think I would have picked this high if it was a couple weeks ago. I am taking the Vikings over the Bears.
I knew it.
How do you know it?
Because I was going to pick it, but I couldn't have the Broncos.
Oh, okay.
So I just had to bite the bullet.
Vikings coming off 2 really, really impressive weeks with Dalvin Cook leading the charge. And I think both of us, even when Kirk Cousins signed for the Vikings, were a bit like meh about it.
Made zero sense to me.
Yeah. I know there was rumors of him going to Jacksonville because that's when we had Blake Bortles, and at that time I was like, anything's better than Blake Bortles. But again, for what he was worth and how much he was going for, he had a couple really good games, to be fair to him, but we were never really that high on him, I think either one of us. But Dalvin Cook, definitely the focal point of that team. Bears, although they had a really, really good start, I never believed in them ever since they put in Nick Foles, because I know what regular season Nick Foles is. We had him in Jacksonville for about 6 games. Didn't work out too well, about 4 or 5 games. To be fair to him, he did get injured in the first game, but he lost the starting job to Minshew later on in the year. I'm not sure how people still just can't get over this idea that, yes, he did win a Super Bowl and did have an amazing playoff run with the Eagles. We're not talking about playoffs right now. We're talking about regular season. And you've taken the Bears sometimes solely based on their defense, but when the offense is just really so far back, your defense can only do so much.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, Dalvin Cook came back fully refreshed. A little injury in the first couple games. Did he take a game out? I'm not too sure.
No,
it
he
was a
came
bye
straight
week.
in.
Sorry, it was a bye week. And then he came straight in.
Yeah,
and
against the Packers.
From then on, he's been getting pretty much almost 200 yards a game. Absolutely ridiculous. One big cheat code. Last year he was decent. The year
It was
before
really
he
good
was
last year. Yeah, it was really good last year.
the year before he was all right. This year he's spazzing out. That's just what it's going to be. He's going insane week after week after week. As soon as he came back healthy, it's like he's trying to make up for lost time. He came back with a bad team record and was like, I'm going to change it by myself if no one else wants to help out. And against the Bears, he's not going to run that Khalil Mack all game. So what they're going to do? They got Hicks in the middle. He needs to do something. He's very disruptive, but can he stop Dalvin? Who's on the other side? Who knows? Who's in the linebacker core? Who knows? The last Browns linebacker, not Browns, the last Bears
Yes.
linebacker I knew was Trevathan, and I'm pretty sure he's retired.
They
They've
drafted
got,
Raekwon Smith, I think, a couple of
yep,
years ago.
and after the first two games, I haven't heard of him since. And then the DBs, they have some good DBs, I'm pretty sure. But guess who's not going to stop Dalvin Cook? A good pair of DBs. So what's going on?
Yeah, and also, what happened to Thielen? I haven't heard much about. He hasn't been popping out from the screen like before. I mean,
Oh,
is
it's
it is it
interesting.
because his mate Diggs
That,
is injured?
that that's where I was gonna go. It's interesting. Diggs was kicking up a fuss. Da 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 this. Da 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 da. They ship him off. He's having a great year.
Yeah,
Where's your boy?
it's not my boy.
Okay, where's their boy?
Um,
It seems like they get rid of the one who's making the fuss, but then it seems like the one who's making the fuss always seems to be right.
so far I've made my third pick. Now it's time for your
Yep.
third pick, Joel.
And it's rough. It's tough. I'm going name brand. However, I'm pretty sure in this matchup, the people who I'm going to pick haven't been doing great, even as of recent. And I'm picking the Ravens over the Pats.
Hmm.
Um,
Fair. That's fair.
yeah. Coming up to this, if you were to just take their records and what they've been doing this season, there is no way the Pats should win this game. However, year after year, since Lamar's been drafted, year after year, when they go up to Foxborough, it hasn't been great. They haven't been great. So I don't know if just Bill has got something out for him. He doesn't want to see a young brother shine at QB in this league. However, the former MVP, I think, on a bad day, can pull it out this year. They don't have Brady on the other side.
Yeah, so I was a bit unsure about this matchup. Ravens probably definitely are favourites. But it's just how Bill will scheme against the Ravens. But I'm not sure if I just have this feeling that it is the Pats. I'm just getting a little bit of bias. Although I shouldn't really have a bias because they haven't been doing well
Yeah.
past 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But
If we take a look at last night, we're recording this on Tuesday. If we take a look at last night, they struggled to beat the New York Jets,
yeah,
who are
yeah.
winless this season.
Mm.
I want to see Cam Newton do well, but can I say he has? No. Can
Yeah.
anyone say he has? No. Out of his own mouth, he's been saying he's playing that trash, and I don't know why they squeaked by a last-second winner against the Jets, but it's happening,
Yeah,
and it's terrible.
agree, yeah. I'm not potentially I could have picked the Ravens higher, but again, it might just be a little bit of bias. Thinking surely Pats will have to pick it up sometime. Like, I know they don't have the talent as they did before. I mean, Brady's gone, but even on the defensive side, which defense was their key, was the key side of their ball for the past 2 or 3 years. They've got quite a few players on the COVID list. Kyle Van Noy, I think had not Kyle Van Noy, he's in the Dolphins. Dante
He
Hightower,
left. Yeah.
Kyle Van Noy left. Yeah, they had a few more other players that are on the injury reserve list.
But then it's not even the recent COVID outbreak in their facility that hurt them
They
the most.
opted out early in the season. They opted out.
Yeah, some of their key players on the
Yeah.
defense, especially, opted out at the beginning of the season. We didn't even get close to a preseason, or what would have been preseason time. We didn't even get close to training camp. As soon as they signed that paper saying the season's going ahead, and if you don't feel safe, you can opt out. Patriots dropped out left, right, and center. All they have is Stephon Gilmore, and he had COVID, didn't do well the next week. Cam had COVID, didn't do well the next week. So what's going on?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I could have picked a Real Madrid. I'll leave it for now. I'll let Joel make the decision, and I'll go for some other teams that I felt could potentially do better. Speaking of which, with my fourth pick for the matchups, yeah, cool. I am going to take in the divisional matchup, NFC South. I'm going to take the Bucks over the Panthers. Where I feel confident is Bucks are still the Bucks. Although what we said at the start in terms of how I felt they have maybe too many receivers who may want the ball or haven't necessarily been doing as well as they did on defense. And something that I've been doing past couple of weeks is I always like the idea of a good team coming back from a bad loss and having that motivation to really do well the week after and have that fire up their arse. Saying that, the Panthers have done really well when they've been under the caution, been the underdog. Matt Rule looks like he's done a really good job there in Carolina with Teddy B. And I don't feel very, very confident with it, but I'm going to go for who should be the favorite. I'm going for the Bucks.
Yeah, so the Panthers have been playing teams hard.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of the season, McCaffrey got injured. They weren't
Yep, he's
playing
back now,
teams
yeah.
as hard, but he came back with a bang,
Yeah.
and potentially injured again this week. So this is a tough one for me. I stayed away from it. I should have jumped in with the Bucks, but emotions and that. Because this is literally all dependent on if McCaffrey could come back and he's at full health. Because when he comes back, it's a problem. He is a problem, and there's just no other way around it at all.
Yeah, like I think I was saying to you again when we were doing our preseason that the Panthers' running game still looks really good, even with their backup in. But when you do see McCaffrey play, he still just adds that extra layer. As like, so halfway through, Joel, it's your fourth pick.
I'm gonna take a drink because, damn, and I needed some extra time.
So on the next tier, I've still got 3 teams in that tier. So I'm seeing if you're going for one of those. I've got 4 in the tier where I'm like, I'm not 50-50, but I've got 3 matchups in my next tier.
I feel like I'm about to do something stupid. I feel.
How's that different to what you've been doing so far?
No. And I was been looking the whole time you've been talking about the Bucks and the Panthers. I have been eyeing up one matchup, but I think I'm going to call an audible. There are 2 matchups now in my vision that I think are good. I'm going to go with the Bills over the Cardinals.
Wow.
That one in your tier, I know, because I've been thinking about that for a while. But let's put it out there. Josh Allen's grandma died the night before last week's game, and he threw for like 400 yards. The kind of shock that seems to put on players when they do stay and play that game, they go absolutely insane. They go ridiculous. Obviously, they dedicate the game to the fallen family member. However, now it's kind of a week after that. Kind of real life sets in. You kind of go through the plans, you go through the motions. Obviously, you'll be very upset coming up to it. But if like some people like to just throw themselves into their work after like a tragic passing of someone, American football is easily one of the games that you can do that.
It's just as forms of escapism.
Yep. So, and I feel like he's gonna be, if he's not locked in normally, which obviously he is, but this is when you get that super lock. You do it to block out noise. You do it to block out your headspace to improve your mental health, all that kind of stuff. And Kyler played a tight game against Tua, and I think that Josh can play a better game than Tua, and he has proven he can. And obviously their weapons are absolutely ridiculous.
So the reason why I was a bit surprised by that is not only because it wasn't on my tier, but I also had the Cards anyway over the Bills because I still am really high on Kyler and what the offense can do.
Yeah.
Dolphins did as much as they could to try and blitz Kyler and get him off his game, which I think they did a pretty good job of trying to contain him and force him to make decisions. Can the Bills defense do have the capability? We'll see if the Bills defense can do what the Dolphins defense did last week, and also how they will cover DeAndre Hopkins. I don't care who it is. You can put both Stephon Gilmore and Jalen Ramsey. Okay, that might be a bit extreme putting both of them on, but D-Hop is just an absolute beast. And the fact that just the Texans, anyway, I feel more confident with the Cardinals. Yes, Bills did have a good game, and I still feel high on the Bills in general. But I'm not too mad at that pick. Okay, it's interesting. It will be a fun matchup. It's definitely the game I'm looking to watch for the late kickoffs. Cards Bills would be really fun.
I mean, Steelers Bengals is in that late kickoff, and I feel like that's the game to watch because it's not a done deal at all.
No,
but yeah.
There's 6 late games this week. That's a lot. Like last week, those past couple weeks have been 3 or 4. I don't know why there's 6 this week.
Mm-hmm. For the last couple of weeks they've been about 3 or 4, but I
Yeah,
think it's based off of the teams that are on a bye.
but
So yeah,
still, it's the same amount of teams on the bye, but there's 6 late
yeah,
games, 5 early games.
yeah, but it's the teams on the bye that make the
Ah,
difference. I think it's timing, time zones, and all that weird stuff.
yeah. Anywho, right.
And I remember, let's not forget things. The schedule has shifted a couple times because of the
Yeah.
COVID matchups and all that stuff.
So last 3 games and last 6 games, last 3 picks. My next pick is the Seahawks against the Rams.
Yep, yep, yep. Of course.
So part of the reason I picked this game is, as a Jags fan, we have the Rams first round pick we had their first round pick last year and their first round pick this year from the Jalen Ramsey trade. And obviously, the worse they do, the better that pick becomes. And I just want to see them lose for that reason, to get a better draft pick. I also don't trust the Rams offense that much. Like I mentioned it to you, I just think Jared Goff is just a shook QB. Like I don't really rate it that much. But he's a rich man's Kirk Cousins, in my opinion. Maybe I need to watch a lot more Rams games and Viking games to make a better comparison. But I just feel he's a rich man's Cousins. Saying all that, you still got that beast on D-line, the absolute monster. And of course, you've got Jalen Ramsey on the other side as well. But I'm taking the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, hoping they can bounce back from a really disappointing week last week. And again, as I said, I really like it when an elite team has to bounce back after a loss. But
All I'm going to say,
Rams are also coming off a bye, which I don't like.
yeah. Obviously, Sean McVay with a bye is a bit different.
Exactly.
Yep, it's very, very different. But when it comes to uh, the Seahawks, I think that the defensive plan of getting Aaron Donald in there, disrupting it, kind of plays into the Seahawks plans because we all know Russ is one of the best improvisers in the league.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald's going to come into the backfield. Russ is going to start running, and then all hell's going to break loose. All cover routes get done. All zones get murked. It's literally now it's find the space, go to it, chuck the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, the Seahawks are obviously, with Russell Wilson, one of the most lethal teams on the breakdown. It's similar to what young Kyler's doing and learning. Now he's got a blanket with D-Hop. Russell's got DK and Lockett ready at any time to hit someone if they need to, get a little scramble drill block going, and then once they do that, it's open field. We've seen when DK on the scramble drill, he gets the ball randomly, maybe one guy missed, Lockett comes in, flings his body, doesn't know how to block, he just flings his body at a person, they're blocked, DK can run the rest. We've seen it when Lockett gets the ball, short. DK comes in, he's going to block 5 people.
Yeah.
Now what? If you get a pick on the goal line, try run it back. DK is going to run you down. Now what?
I mean, DK's dad used to be an O-lineman, so he's got the tools for it.
Yeah.
One thing I just realized as well, this Jalen Ramsey DK Metcalf matchup, which we're assuming they may be a bit of man on man, and Jalen will take DK. That looks really fun because Jalen has always done well against bigger receivers. He likes to sometimes match up against tight ends. That's what we didn't do that much of, but we tried when we played New England in the AFC game a couple of years back. So that would be a really fun matchup because Jalen likes those bigger receivers rather than those short and nifty ones. He got killed by Tyreek Hill a couple of times when they played against each other. So that's also just a fun matchup to watch.
He wants a challenge. He likes a strength challenge.
Yeah, and that's the second game I'll probably have up Rams, Seahawks, and then Cards, Bills. So your fourth pick.
What have you got left? Let's see. We've got Colts and Titans.
Yeah.
We've got Eagles, Giants. We've got Washington. We've got the football team and the Lions. Texans, Browns, Chargers, and Dolphins. Now, I think 2 of those matchups are actually 2 good teams going against each other. Whether they're good or not in their actual record is yet to be seen. Well, is a no, but I think they're good in they play teams hard. Even if they lose in close games. Something bad is happening at the end in order for them to lose, or something bad is happening in the middle of the game or kind of late, and it goes out of control from there, or the team, whoever's in the league,
Yeah, I get you.
less. Um, so with that being said, I'm going to go with the young upstart. You know my rule. We're going to a time, baby.
That was going to be my next pick. Cool.
Yeah, the Chargers have let me down way too many times this season. They only have 2 wins. If there is if there is a matchup they can win, Herbert can win it. Is this one? Like I say every week, Herbert can win it, but I don't know what happens. It just never happens. They don't win.
Yeah, and that's going to be really fun because obviously it's the second QB taken this year's draft versus the third QB taken this year's draft. I remember before, because I was lapping up all the content for pre-draft, and some people saying that, oh, could Herbert be taken ahead of Tua? Are Dolphins higher on Herbert than they are on Tua? Could they move up? Blah blah blah.
Yep.
Yeah, this would be definitely a fun matchup for both QBs. Yeah, I had the Dolphins as well, but I'm not mad at getting the Chargers. That's why I sort of let this one slide a little bit, because I'm not bad at getting the Chargers. They keep themselves in games and somehow lose it. So, yeah.
If we go back to your draft talk, let's not forget the Chargers were willing to take either one of these QBs. They were literally, like I said, whoever the Dolphins pick, will just pick the other one, and that was their draft board.
Mm.
So these two, they clearly have high grades. Herbert had a faster start, let's say, because he got more games and he played well in from the beginning.
You got a faster start because of the Chargers medical.
Yeah, because
team.
they actively went out to make him the starter. I don't know which backroom staff, the GM, owner, bit shady. One of them put an order down there, and suddenly the doctor started puncturing lungs.
Poor Tyrod. Poor Tyrod. Yeah. For any of you that know the story, the reason Justin Herbert was a starter because Tyrod Taylor was due to start a game. However, he had an injection for some was it anesthesia or just some sort of.
So he had a painkilling injection, so he could play the game. Yeah.
And where the doctor that applied it accidentally punctured his lungs, and that's something that can happen, but it's a very minimal thing, but it's something that can happen. Punctured Tyrod Taylor's lungs, and then obviously he had to sit out, and that was Justin Herbert's first game, and he's been going upwards since then. But
yeah, and then he wasn't the starter. He's just filling in due time, and then they announced.
I think he found out just before kickoff, or
yes, it's like 5, 10, 15 minutes in that time frame, because even Tyrod was announced as the starter in the stadium. So all the players are like, yeah, what's going on? Herbert comes out, does what he does. Then they name him. They say he's not the starter. A couple of weeks go by. The doctor says Tyrod can't play. He's basically on indefinite injury. And then they announce Herbert as the starter, and then there we go.
So, with that being said, last 4 games, I am going to take another divisional game. I am going to take the Titans over the Colts on Thursday Night Football.
Yikes. Yep. So this was one I wanted. And I was gonna pick the Titans. I think ball control wins out. Rivers is very up and down to me. They have won this season with Rivers not playing the best, but I think the Titans are a more complete team on their day. And yeah, we'll see what happens. When the
Colts have massive buyer's remorse in picking up Rivers at this point.
Yep.
And I think the fun matchup will be the Titans offense versus the Colts defense. The Colts do have a really nice defense, and we'll get to see how much they can try and contain Derrick Henry. Again, I think I've also mentioned to you before, I think the Titans do play up to their opposition. So we'll see what Titans we do get, if it is the Derrick Henry who could run for 200 yards like it's nothing, or if it's Derrick Henry who's just been met by 9 guys in the line of scrimmage in the box, completely going for him. But yeah, that is my penultimate pick. Yeah. Joel, who do you have next?
In these 2 matchups, I don't want either of them. I'd rather not pick than pick. However, I'm going to go with the Giants over the Eagles.
This was the one game I was just no idea where to take it. No idea.
No idea. However, the last couple of weeks, I've been picking the Giants, and they've been in tight games if they didn't win. There were games that they could have won if they weren't the So, it seems like all New York teams are cursed right now. football wise.
Apart from the Bills. Apart from the Bills. They're in
Okay,
New York.
yeah, but okay, New York State teams. Oh no, New York City teams. Sorry.
They're in,
Um,
again, I know Bills fans don't like the fact that they're not considered part of New York, so I just had to put that
yeah.
out there.
So yeah, I'm just gonna take the Giants. They've been playing well recently. The Eagles have not been playing well, but somehow they have 3 wins. And I think the Giants have been playing tough opponents really well.
So this was going to be my last pick. So I was not going to pick this. I was going to let you pick, and I still had the Giants. Although I'm not mad at getting the Eagles. They are coming off a bye from last week. We'll see if that does anything to help them. Injuries have been a massive part of their failures at the start of the year. So we'll see how
No.
they
For
had
the
a
Giants,
lot of injuries. Although
for the
Carson Wentz
Giants.
did, pardon?
Oh, for the Eagles or the
Yeah,
Giants.
for the Eagles, for the Eagles.
Okay, I'd say because the Giants, really, the reason why they don't have as many wins as the Eagles right now is because Ingram couldn't catch a ball that was in his hand.
And they do have one big injury as well. Like is out for the whole year and they missed the whole year.
Yes.
I completely forgot about it until I was thinking about it a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, they lost
Because it
Saquon for the
happened
whole year.
happened week
Yeah,
one, pretty
exactly. I
early.
completely forgot about it.
So yeah.
Cool. So my last pick. So we've got 2 matchups left. We have got the the Lions are hosting Washington, and then the Browns are hosting the Texans. I am going to take the Texans over the Browns.
Oh, thank you for that. I didn't want them. I didn't want to take them, but I think the Browns just a second, literally just a second ago in my head. I think it clicked.
I don't feel comfortable with either teams. I've never really been too high on the Browns anyway. Although they have had some really good wins under their belts within the whole season, they are coming off a bye. I just feel more confident in Houston's QB and
Yeah.
his playmaking ability. And the Texans, their defense, they played okay against the Jags. It was nothing to sort of get too happy about, but I guess I don't trust the Browns that much, and I just trust Deshaun Watson a lot more. Like, if I don't know, I may just have a look at the quarterback. What defense are they playing? I'm like, okay, cool, let's go for it. But Myles Garrett could have a field day against that Texans O line.
Yep. So Bill O'Brien decided to destroy the whole team with the GM and the owner at the time. Miles Garrett is going to reap the benefits of it. However, obviously, Deshaun Watson is an amazing QB.
Yep.
I want him to win.
Yeah.
I couldn't physically pick the Browns because they are still the Browns, no matter their record. They do not have Odell Beckham now, but then that wasn't working great when they had the whole Beckham, Landry, and Njoku kind of wave. That should have been a disgusting offense, but it never materialized. So I'm just if it wasn't for Bill O'Brien and ruining the team, the Texans would have been my pick all day, every day on this matchup. But he was allowed to ruin the team, and he did, and then he got fired for it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and Romeo Crennel, he's a bit hit and miss. Not sure what to think of him too much as a head coach, but
I have it's not no faith. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I mean, I think he's like the longest serving coach, right? He's the oldest head coach right now in the NFL, like third oldest head coach in NFL history. But there is still that big question mark. Like, I mean, there's a reason he was a coordinator rather than a head coach, I guess. But yeah. So last game, Washington, Detroit.
This, as you can see, I've pulled away from. Do I have faith in either coaches? Who even coaches the? Oh no, Ron Rivera.
And Matt Patricia.
Kinda. Yeah, Matt Patricia. No, as a head coach, I've had no faith in him. The Lions, I picked them maybe one time. They failed me. I picked them because I had to. There were some poor ones afterwards. The football team, they just lost their QB, Kyle Allen, who after they dumped their real first QB, Dwayne Haskins. So now they are on to Alex Smith, comeback player of the year. He will start his first matchup, I think.
Because he started
preseason.
he started against the Rams, and remember how that turned out.
Oh, and yeah, he didn't do great then. So it's amazing that he's able to play again. For the healed leg and all that stuff. That he's coming back. However, it ain't good. It ain't good. So I'm just gonna go with the Lions as the best of a
Oh,
bad bunch. I
that would
have
have been
no
my pick.
analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no analysis on the situation. There's just two bad teams, but one of them is bad because they're actually bad. One of them is bad because no one knows. Two terrible
Michigan,
teams.
Michigan football is just taking L's all over the shop.
Oh, it's
L's
disgusting.
all over.
Yeah, it's
L's all
disgusting.
over.
Yeah. So that is that. Those are our picks. Ed, do you want to go through it again?
Yes, sir. So on Thursday Night Football for Week 10, we have got Titans at the Colts. I've got the Titans. Then I've got the Packers over the Jags. Joel's got the Giants over the Eagles. The Lions over Washington. Then I've got Texans over the Browns. Bucks over the Panthers. Then for the late games on Sunday, Joel's got the Dolphins over the Chargers. The Raiders over the Broncos. The Bills over the Cards. And 49ers over the Saints. Then I've got the Seahawks over the Rams and the Steelers over the Bengals. For the primetime game, Joel's got the Ravens over the Pats. And on Monday Night Football, I've got the Vikings taking on the Bears in a divisional matchup. Now,
Yes,
again,
yes.
usually in preseason, I would go, it'll be a 10-4 win or a 9 to
That's
9
never
to.
happened.
To be fair, also in all seriousness, I think these weeks games have been a lot harder to pick than previously. I think our tiers were a lot more like, okay, I definitely know I'm picking, and a lot more 50-50, 60-40 teams. So I don't feel as confident as I usually do. How do you think the picks went? How do you like your teams?
I mean, they are what they are. Until I get a winning week, all these teams have to show me that they're worth it now. Like the Patriots fans are saying, they restarted the season last week, so I've restarted the season. To all these teams are back to square one. They have to show me they're good enough. We're really middle of the season, well,
Yep.
truly middle end of the season,
Yeah.
where teams start getting hurt. Teams start, there's no hiding who they are now. The real playoff teams really do show out. So this is when we're really going to see it. This week will really tell us a lot. And yeah.
Then you've also got the other side where it's like, because you've seen quite a few games already, you see their high points like, oh, they did really well there. But then you see their low points like, oh, but there's that. So for me, it's classic overthinker. I try to look at everything and I'm like, struggle to make a decision. I'm like, yeah, but they've had this, but then they had this. So yeah, it's the interesting time of season. But yeah, well, please let us know who you would pick and who do you think had the better picks. You don't need to write Joel's name in the comment section. We know it's not his picks. But yeah, do you want to say anything?
People only come for the king. But we shall see. We shall see. If I tell you I have a lot of faith in a lot of them, I have faith in some. I have not faith in others. Some have proven to be good teams, but will the matchup be too much for them?
I don't have a lot of faith in them. I don't have a lot of faith in my teams.
Okay, well, fair enough. So as that section comes to a close, what we do have next is Who Are Ya? That is a section where we, as young UK lads, if you will, we're going to combine our love for American football with our football. We're going to do player comparisons and see who would we compare as to a casual or a new fan. Who would we describe one player as? So Ed, go ahead.
This is like a fun little activity just to get a bit of insight and just some conversation in terms of players with similarity, with players from different sports systems. You're never going to find an exact match of this player is another player. So the comparison I'm making is Patrick Mahomes is the Kylian Mbappe of American football. Now, the reason I say that is both of them are the new torchbearers for their respective sports. Kylian Mbappe is next up after Messi and Ronaldo. Patrick Mahomes is next up as the face of the NFL after Brady and Breeze and Rodgers, etc. They've both had success earlier on in their careers. They're both still pretty young in their careers. Mbappe winning the World Cup with France and being an integral part of, you could arguably say he could have been MVP for France in the World Cup. And then you've got Patrick Mahomes, who did win Finals MVP for the Chiefs, both playing stacked teams. I mean, for Mbappe, you've got a stacked team in PSG, you've got a stacked team in France, and then Mahomes just plays for a stacked team in general. And yeah, they both, I think another point is, if you're to do an NFL draft, a restart draft, Mahomes would go number one. if to do that for football, if you're thinking long term, you could maybe say Haaland, but Mbappe would go number one in that draft. If you were to do the same thing for World Cup, world football, and with the big teams. But yeah, that's my who are you. I think Patrick Mahomes is the American football version of Kylian Mbappe.
Okay. I'm gonna switch it up. I know it's the
Okay.
first week, but I'm calling an audible already.
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna go for a coach instead. I'm
Nice.
gonna
Okay.
go
Like
with
this.
Bill Belichick. Is pretty much the exact same person as Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Now, let's run this down. Full control over their organizations, the ins and outs, what they're doing, the coach driver. As we know in the story, so Alex Ferguson was driving the bus himself until it got a bit too much. And then if we break it down to the last couple of years, they did well with bad teams. They did well with poor teams. More and more stars left them. They still did well. More and more stars left. They did decent. Last year, the Patriots were in the AFC Championship. Mahomes came and knocked them out. The last couple of years of Sir Alex Ferguson's career, now we're looking at the teams he had and been like, how did he ever get near the top? But when it was time to go, the difference is he left. Bill Belichick is still out here doing his thing. And we don't know what's going to happen next. That is my comparison.
No, interesting. I think also another key thing is with which a lot of coaches, both footballs, is rebuilding. Fergie went through so many rebuilds with that United team. There's 3 or 4 different iterations of those United teams, and Pats have just that. There are 2 or 3 significant teams that that's so different. The Super Bowl winning teams are quite different from each other.
Yep.
And I mean, Fergie was around for 20, 30 odd years, so he's been there for a while. And Bill was coming to the end of his time, but now he's got a big rebuild without Tom Brady. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Whereas when it came to this rebuild in particular, like Belichick has Brady, he left, he's sticking around to try and see if he could do it without him. Alex Ferguson lost his kind of last fastball players and then decided, obviously health as well, but said it's time to go.
Yeah, I mean, last season he won the league last season with Van Persie as his key guy, but after then it just went downhill with Moisey. To my delight as a Chelsea fan, love it. I'm still
pretty much the exact same team, vastly different results.
Right. So just for you that don't know, so when we do make these comparisons, we don't tell each other who they're going to be, just so we can get quite a honest and like quick reaction, like, oh, okay, cool, just so we can discuss it between ourselves to make the conversation a bit more authentic. So yeah, Joel actually did switch up on me, saying that he went from a player comparison to a coach. What was going to be your player comparison? Are you going to save that?
Well, I can save that. Well, why not? Let's just roll it out. Let's go with my one was Kante and Aaron Donald. It is a bit shaky, I know, but if we look at it, if you look at them as people, they are vastly different, right? But if you look at them as people in their sport, in their respective sport, Aaron Donald is supposedly undersized. No one really wanted him coming out. As the hype wasn't as big coming out.
Yeah.
Yep. From high school to college, he was a low prospect. Then he did work his way up a bit, but it wasn't great. Kante came from back there, and then came to Leicester, won the league at Leicester, then went to Chelsea. They are both kind of pivotal players in their defenses. Kante cleans up everything. Aaron Donald cleans up everything. But in the team situation, both their teams are letting them down.
They both cause havoc. Kante, he has been injured. It hasn't been his best form past couple of years, but he can cause so much havoc when he's in the middle of the park and teams are trying to catch him on a counter. Okay, it's interesting. I think the point I would make is, like, for anyone who doesn't know who Aaron Donald or N'Golo Kante is, if you were to put 2 images next to each other, you're like, how the hell are you comparing those two? Like, Donald is just a 6-foot beast, and then Kante is just this energetic, don't know how tall he is, maybe 5'8", probably maybe a bit shorter.
Sure.
Ectomorph.
I want to say 5'7", 5'6".
When you look at it, he can't dominate a game, but when you watch him play, you're like, gosh, he is all over. That's a fun comparison. We'll probably get some more comparisons next week. I'll keep mine quiet. But yeah, it's just a fun conversation. You probably won't completely agree with the comparison. But let us know who you think. Who do you think is the Patrick Mahomes
Wait, hold
of
on.
football?
Looking for his height and feet. He's 5'6".
That's shorter than so let us know who you think the Aaron Donald of the Premier League will be. Let us know who you think the Bill Belichick of world football could be. Let us know who you think the Patrick Mahomes of world football could be. And let us know how bad Joel's picks were.
You know what? I'm gonna come in on the humble thing. You know, we've done all that. So coming in the comments, just let us know. You know, your picks. If my picks are bad, if his picks are bad, let us have it. Fire off. Why not? But the thing is, we will find out the truth come game time.
I had a good preseason, but preseason don't matter. This is when the real thing starts.
Teams go 4-0 in the preseason.
Yeah.
And they don't get a win in the regular season. So that's all I'm saying.
I mean, the regular season is my preseason. When it gets to the playoffs, we'll do a draft format for the playoffs for the playoff teams. That's, I got the eye for that. I know, and I predicted the Titans to make it as far as they did last year. I got the eyes for that. I know what I'm watching, Joe. I know what I'm watching.
Yeah.
I got my eyes all
I'm gonna say is the Steelers are playoff bound. However, this week we might lose the undefeated streak.
Time will tell. We shall see this Sunday. I'm really looking forward to these weekend games. Some nice, fun matchups and some nice games at the top and some really not fun games in the middle bottom.
And with that being said, this is Third and Atlantic, the best show coming out of this Zoom call.
Yeah.
Third and Atlantic. See you later. Bye.
Amen to that.